University of Lapland, here, the place where we are right now, and the Faculty of Art and Design. Then we have University of Tartu from Estonia and archaeology from there, and University of Leeds from the UK, and again 2 departments, so color chemistry and textile design. And then we have also the KIK IRPA Royal Institute of Cultural Heritage from Belgium, which is a heritage institute, and Pili from France, a company that is producing natural bio-based colorants through biotechnological means. So we are quite a diverse group of researchers combining this Colour4CRAFTS research program. Oh, it's going the wrong direction. Okay, and then the idea here is to combine different methodologies also from history, artifact research and cultural studies, art and craft research, and also then research of natural sciences and futures studies. The research interests in our program Colour4CRAFTS is to look at color and skills of coloration from tradition to the future, and how we can input in knowledge transfer of these skills and knowledge of natural and bio-based colorants. According to this financier, we also want to foster European cultural heritage, especially in textile coloration and crafts skills related to coloration. To get into our goals, one important thing, and also for supporting the knowledge transfer, is the education. So we want to create education that support these traditional craft skills and their transformation into 21st century practices. And finally, we also want to provide futures visions about coloration and textile production in Europe, and for that we do workshops within the consortia and apply futures research methodologies to create these futures. As we know, nature is very colorful. There are lots of different colors, and then also, of course, color sources and colorants in plants, algae, fungi, microbes, also animals. And if we look at the diversity of these colorants, then in materials we can get all rainbow colors. So nature is really rich in different colors and colorants. The question is how we can get these colorants in a sustainable way, and apply also that their characters is meet the expectations of the products and of course the everyday use. But if we go back to the history, we can see, like especially in Finland, there has been different dyes has been, or different colors have been dyed in different time of the year, and actually the whole year around the manipulating the materials and producing textiles have been very kind of very sequenced and periodical, so that there are like early May and June, the yellow colorants were dyed. Obviously, we got nice colorants from the plants when they are very young. Then reds were dying in late June, July, and again then blues were often bought or purchased dye sources like indigo, woad, and therefore for dyeing blue it was more practical to do it later when other field work was done. And again, if we go to spinning, weaving and bleaching the fabrics finally on the snowy fields under the spring sun. So related to these seasonal colors, we can also look at our current systems. We come up with seasonal colors every year and even from different seasons. This was in year 2021, Pantone. This color system is probably known for you. Had ultimate gray and illuminating yellow colorants, and in the research group we decided to have our colors similarly from natural sources, and we had this Salix Caprea and Allium Seba colors, and you can kind of distinguish the differences between this synthetic colorants and the natural ones. If we continue the story of these color forecastings and seasonal colors, what we have last year, Pantone had the color 2023 Viva Magenta, which they said that was rooted in cochineal, or the color came from cochineal, or they took the color from the cochineal and named it Viva Magenta, and that was the year's color. This shows to me that, and they also in this description said that they want to be rooted in nature, that there is really like some kind of trend towards more earthy, maybe earthy tones, and some hints for the colors that they are towards kind of earth and nature, and maybe also sustainability. This year's color is peach fuzzy. Also, if you look at the colors, they are quite powdery-like, and also if we think of sustainability, using less colorant in pastel tones is more is using less resources as well as colorants are material. So this is kind of this seasonal theme that we want to bring in this our exhibition. And the other one, and the theme for this seminar, is the stretching of color. What we want to do in this Colour4CRAFTS research project, we want to stretch the boundaries of color and look at what can we do with natural and bio-based colorants, and how we can stretch technologies, how can we stretch our minds and our thinking and our kind of our how is this our figures of color and what color should be. And we look, we have this timeless time dimension also in the research. So we look traditional craft and historical practices. We look at creative sector and current craft practices, and then we look and develop new cutting-edge technologies for color, how we can get ideas from past textile coloration practices and innovate new colorants and new coloration technologies. And altogether, we are looking for what would be the European color futures and what would be the probable, possible, maybe threatening, preferable, plausible, and preposterous futures. And thank you. And now we will continue with the presentations of different topics in our research program. And the first topic is importance of history, and this is explained by Dustin Neubers.
Hello, my name is Dr. Dustin Neighbors. I'll be representing the History and Tradition Working Group and sharing the significance and relevance of history within the Colour4CRAFTS project and the wider public. All too often today in Western societies, and particularly within the wider public discourse, we hear that the past is not relevant to the future. There is a decline of cultural heritage knowledge, or that the study of the past or past societies has very little value. However, this assumption or idea cannot be further from the truth. History is more than a list or a narrative of past events, actions, decisions, or beliefs. History is a written, material, visual record of human experiences, the stories and chronicles of the past societies lived, and an account of our shared cultural knowledge and memory. It is not surprising.
Sorry, I stopped because the slides are not showing. I just put them here.
It's not surprising that the importance of history has been defended by notable writers, politicians, and historians throughout the ages. In the 16th century, William Shakespeare, the English poet and playwright, wrote that there is history in all men's lives, and that what is the past is the prologue, which is only centuries later reinforced by 20th century American historian David McCulloch, who stated that history is who we are and why we are the way that we are. The study of history is relevant, and heritage research is important for the past, for the present, and future because of the possession of historical knowledge not only enabled us to understand our collective human experience within our local, national, or international communities. Historical knowledge also empowers us to be informed participants in the ongoing development of traditions, industries, laws, and institutions that shape our everyday lives. More simply put, the study of history allows us to see practices, ideas, and patterns, and the ways of living that are not readily evident in how we live and develop as a society in the present, or how we transform and improve for the future. It is this very focus that both defines the History and Tradition Working Group and ensures the importance of history and heritage as a fundamental knowledge-building element at the core of the Colour4CRAFTS project. In order to address a lot of the challenges that the EU Horizon Call, CL2 Heritage, identified several challenges related to traditional artifacts and old craft techniques, underscoring the need to, quote, show the impenetrating relationship between material culture and human beings as producers or consumers of it. The call places significant emphasis on the importance of history and cultural heritage and ensuring that its value is demonstrated and is utilized in the development of sustainable solutions, particularly in the textile and fashion, manufacturing, and craft sectors. For the Colour4CRAFTS project, the History and Tradition Working Group consists of a diverse and interdisciplinary team with researchers from the University of Helsinki, the University of Tartu, KIK ERPA, and the University of Leeds. Here, we would like to outline the challenges identified by the call and how the History and Heritage Group are addressing and resolving these challenges. First, we have knowing and understanding traditional craft techniques, the danger of technique disappearing, and with them the knowledge and the know-how of historical techniques. How we have achieved in doing that is the study of rare literature and historical literary sources, material-based studies of dyes that were used in surviving archaeological and ethnographic textiles originating from different sites, examining textile collections in Finland and the northeastern Baltic region to increase our knowledge of local traditional craft and the range of dye plants used, identifying and researching certain dye sources that are still available in rural areas of the northeastern Baltic region, with the aim of revaluing them and giving them a new future. And finally, engaging in comparative research and combining findings in the northeastern Baltic area with well-known Central European and UK knowledge of colors and dyeing techniques. Next, traditional artifacts and old craft techniques as part of cultural heritage and arts as integral part of social, personal, and cultural memory and a unifying self-identity. The group contributes to this by locating and studying and cataloging textile artifacts and historical sources in the northeastern Baltic area, examining the trade routes in Europe that contributed to the dissemination of indigo tin and madder through the study of literature of Hanseatic and other archives. Next, the preservation, restoration, and reproduction of cultural heritage practices. And so the way that we approach this is we are producing historical dyeing practices, traditional colors produced from bio-based materials, and textile production through experimental and experiential research activities. Also, the chemical analysis to identify the dyes in a variety of archaeological and ethnographic textile objects. Next, combining old craft techniques with cutting-edge new technology and developing methodologies with the combined approaches. To do that, we identify the dye composition and molecular structure of specific dye molecules, produce and refine reference databases and optimizing the identification of dyes in historical samples, as well as open the way for dye molecules to be modified, and conducting color fastness tests on natural dyed textiles. Then we develop curricula and training. How we do that is through courses on history and heritage practices, training workshops and traditional crafting and dyeing practices, and learning and knowledge through experimental research of techniques and processes of producing bio-based colors. With all of this, and addressing the challenges of the original EU call, the History and Tradition Working Group has carried out a number of activities and produced some outputs in the Colour4CRAFTS first year. These activities and outputs include visiting numerous archives and carrying out research by reviewing available databases and collecting materials on textile dyeing, which also enabled us to identify records mentioning dye plants, obtaining shades through experiments, and practical knowledge of dyeing processes. Collecting material of dye stuff trade and industrial dyeing in Estonia in the 18th and 19th century, examining and sampling textile collections at the Estonian National Museum, discovering and sampling archaeological textile finds and writing sample reports and studies of the archival materials, and collaborating with the, forgive my Finnish, Lapaya Museum in Latvia and sampling their ethnographic textile collection. We completed chemical dye identification, has been done on archaeological textiles from the Sami settlement in Sodankylä, from the Finnish Roman Iron Age sites of Lahtila Suokainen and Salo Vanratamaki in southern Finland, from the Finno-Ugric site in Vitelo, Podilo, and from several male graves of inhumation cemeteries in Tampere. Carried out a large number of dye experiments using traditional dyeing techniques, and we have also shared our research objectives and progress at conferences including the BioColor Conference recently held in Helsinki in June 2024, and the NESAC conference that was held in Warsaw earlier this year. The Season of Color exhibition reflects the importance of history and the value of cultural heritage that are common threads that are woven throughout the project to emphasize the cultural meaning in the creation of colors. From the distant past to the present time and for future perspectives. Color creation in the past was based on traditional craftsmanship and the use of locally available natural materials or dye sources obtained through trade and influenced by other available materials or dye sources. At the same time, colors were used in a variety of ways, such as to communicate status and wealth, and to signify ritual practices, and to visually display loyalty and allegiance. The History and Heritage Group highlights the challenges and the ways of addressing challenges in the exhibition through sharing research we have cultivated thus far, such as communicating and illustrating knowledge of traditional dyeing craft practices obtained through surviving written archival sources, historical material objects, and replicas. Mapping the discovery of historically dyed textiles found in the northeastern Baltic region, demonstrating the process of chemical dye analysis of historical textiles, and showcasing the various seasonal plants and other natural elements, colorants, identified in the project and the viability of the dyeing and colorant experiments. As far as the future and what we continue to aim to do, we're continuing to the current research path and activities to produce more results so we have something to gauge and to compare. Further contextual research and archives include the examination of the production of meaning of color in 16th and 17th century Sweden during the Vasa period, with Finland as part of the Swedish kingdom. We are preparing an exhibit on the traditional textile dyeing for the Estonian National Museum, which will be opened in November of 2025. We have also submitted an abstract on, quote, writing for red archival and experimental research on Estonian traditions of decomposing alder buckthorn bark before dyeing for the DHA conference that's going to be held in October 2024. And finally, the submission of an abstract on, quote, red dye stuffs and ancient textile technology for craft conference held in 1st to 2nd of October 2024 in Estonia. To conclude, the History and Tradition Group contributes very relevant research. The group's research not only produces new information about past societies, their technologies, connections, and values, but the research will also stress the historical value of textiles and illuminate slow fashion, how energy and resources are needed to produce a textile, and how to reduce waste. By studying historical textiles, traditional dyeing practices, and dye sources help to preserve these unique heritage objects, practices, and communities in the Baltic region. Additionally, the History and Tradition Group provides further knowledge and characterization of local dye sources, their extraction and application, their preservation, which informs our understanding of how they fit within the historical landscape and what their potential could be for the application in the current and future context. As a result of this knowledge of historical techniques, the development and application of an innovative processes can be found from traditional natural biomasses that were collected as byproducts and side streams of the industrial and agricultural production, contributing to waste reduction and decreasing the uses of oil-based synthetic dyes, thereby contributing to the preservation and safeguarding of traditional artifacts, old craft techniques, and the transformation of these traditions into future green technologies. Thank you.
Thank you. So then next will be education for tradition transfer, and Pammi, Päivi and Jenni-Liisa. Floor is yours. Mikä teidän?
So we're going to present what we're doing in the work package 3, which is art and craft. And talk to the mic.
Yeah, talk to the mic.
Talk to the mic.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, so yes, so education for tradition transfer, basically through art and design. So I thought it might be useful to just remind people what the aims of our work package are. So we're looking at examining bio-based colour, education about colour, art and craft of novel, ingoting and concepting the alchemy. So the people within this group are the University of Lapland, Leeds and Helsinki. So I'm trying to read the groups. And the collaborators at the Craft Museum in Finland, Taito organisation. So as you can see, these are practical goals, and the goals we're hoping to work on, and with the ultimate goal, ultimate aim, is to develop academic curricula for the university students in research universities, and that can be applied in a multitude of areas. For instance, other stakeholders, as well as textile professionals, museums, NGOs, and other types of organisations, and of course schools. So we're hoping to achieve those aims really through a variety of things. So looking at projects for craft and design students, working with them, helping them to recreate designs with professionals using alternative coloration techniques. We'll be looking at workshops to present different types of historical craft dyeing techniques, which will be more public than just simply school. We're going to be looking at developing curricula for traditional dyeing techniques, and we're going to be doing that through the research that we do, both from literature and also through experience through the workshops. And throughout all of this, there'll be, and has been, student engagement. So there are MScs and PhDs, as well as undergraduate teaching that's been taking place. And through all of this, we're hoping to develop educational material that will be useful additions for curricula that are already taking place. So the areas of education that we cover are craft, teacher education, design education, art and design, and heritage. And as you can see, the universities that are involved have these specialisms within those areas.
Yes. Yes, okay, and I'm coming from the University of Helsinki and the craft part of it. And craft science is the main field of study in the Finnish craft teacher education program. Students receive comprehensive MA level education in craft studies and pedagogy, including teaching practice. And the craft studies encompass wide range of teaching and techniques and materials such as textiles, wood, metal, electricity, and programming. And these approaches cover both traditional and comprehensive contemporary aspects. And during their studies, they learn various research methods areas in craft science. And in this academic year, we focused on Karelian culture, and we studied Karelian folk costumes from 19th century. In the South Karelian Museum, we measured and graphically illustrated 6 skirts, 3 shirts, 1 apron, 1 waist, and 2 summer and 3 winter coats. So we made chemical dye analysis of small samples of the costumes, embroidery yarns. We took high-resolution pictures and made 3D models of the details of these 2 costumes from Koivisto and Heinijoki area. And after that we had 3 workshops focusing on these themes. Like natural dyes and phenomenon-based learning, craft culture and well-being, and jewelry making as well. So if you have time, you should go to the web page of the museum and have a look at these, I think, great 3D modelings we made, because you can really go very near of these costumes and like research every part of it very clearly. As an artifact researcher, I appreciate this page very, very much. If you think about old and delicate textiles, they are usually kept in warehouses, in museums, protected from light and dust. So, and they can only be displayed in a very, very short time at the periods of time. So this 3D modeling will also ease the research of costumes in the future. So if you have time, this is very, very interesting. So enthusiastic about all this, our student Aino Erikäinen researched also these costumes and made her own master thesis, focusing on the renewal of Heinijärvi Cape and zero waste thinking. And you will see this one also in our exhibition today, this evening. And about these workshops, so we had this Karelian thinking about at the background, and we examined the Karelian costumes, and here in this workshop also the dyeing methods and techniques about these old things. And the student used dye sources from historical recipes, but also contemporary sustainability context, utilizing side streams like kitchen waste. And students learned to apply conventional water-based dyeing with recycling of dye liquor and new techniques like printing and contact dyeing. And they dyed these jumbo yarns with natural dyes, and afterwards we had also this again a workshop and students examined also Karelian weaving and embroidery techniques, and they made belts from those natural dyed jumbo yarns with tablet weaving and reed weaving techniques. And the motifs and decorations were from Karelian past, but brought to the novel context by playing with the dimensions of size and volume, and adding also imaginary elements that have not been found in these traditional belts. And finally, we had this jewelry making workshop, and again, Karelian jewelry techniques were used and as inspiration for students' own thinking of jewelry, and that they made these artifacts. And all these you will see this evening if you are coming to our exhibition. And then Lapland.
Hello everyone, my name is Jenny-Liisa Yliniemi, and I will be sharing with you some of the examples from the University of Lapland team that we've been producing this year in regards of the project, and that you will also see this evening at the exhibition. So starting with the research project that we have been, or it is still ongoing actually, we are working to develop learning material about color palette of northern Finland, so the colors that we can find here in each season. And what is our sort of northern perspective here is the 8 seasons in northern Finland. We traditionally can find here 8 distinctive seasons where the natural phenomena but also cultural events are kind of evolving around these 8 different seasons. So we try to find dyed plants and mushrooms that would grow abundantly here in the north, are also easily available to everyone, and allowed to pick according to everyone's rights. So it was our aim here that it would be indeed accessible for anyone, and also a versatile and rich color palette. So this will be presented as posters, and there are some gaps still, and we are looking to cover those gaps the coming summer. And then a workshop example. So for designers, we think it's very important to learn about natural dyes, especially for textile designers, as we know that we need to strive for more sustainable solutions. And in our curriculum here at the University of Lapland, we are teaching natural dyes currently in our minor studies of textile art. And the target group is all the students of the Faculty of Art and Design. So we have fashion and textile design students, but also from art education, from industrial design, graphic design, applied art, sustainable art and design. So all of our faculty students are welcome. And here is an example from experimental textile expression study module, where the students learn about a material-led and research-oriented design process. The research here is research from the designer's perspective. They would start with creating a color palette and then study the different plants that they could achieve these colors from, and then go on to producing the dyed fibers or yarns or fabrics, and then create a design from that. So they would be developing their own expression in our studios, but also designing and producing surfaces, utilizing the natural dyes and yarn techniques such as weaving and tufting. Here in the picture you see a small detail of a tapestry that will be presented in the Seasons of Colors exhibition. These colors for this tapestry have come from local and seasonal situation here in Rovaniemi last September and October. So the students, they collected whatever dye plants they could find in their everyday routes just before the snow came in October. So it has a very distinctive color palette. This is an example of a student work from a textile art project from this spring. Milja Rummukainen, I could say that she fell in love with natural dyes, and she took that knowledge of dyeing further into creating her own Ryarak, which is a study of colors and optical mixing of colors with natural dyes. So she has dyed with several different plants to create this beautiful piece of textile. It is hand knotted and represents the landscapes and winter skies of Rovaniemi. And also this one you will be seeing tonight in the exhibition. And the last project is from our university lecturer of fashion, Karolina Lackström, and student Margareta Kettunen. And they were working with examining and exploring natural dyes in the digital world. So here is a little reference to what Riikka mentioned about the Pantone colors of the year, but Karolina and Margareta took a starting point, the Intercolor Finland color forecast, and then chose natural dyes that could reference to the colors in the forecast. Here we have examples from Cortinarius sanguineus, Sujus variegatus, and Hapalopilus rutilans to produce the colors that you see here in the pictures. They were first dyed into textile samples and then digitized using the Pantone coloring spectrometer, and then referred to the Pantone color system and to the IC-Fin color system again. And then these digital textile surfaces were created, and also a collection of fashion with natural dyes in the digital format. And this will be presented as a video this evening at the exhibition. So these kind of examples, and I think next we will be moving to the University of Leeds.
Okay. So as you can see, I've got here the four areas, just to remind you that there's 4 areas that we're working on as a team, and we at Leeds we've been focusing very much on the first and a little bit into the second one so far. So we've we're obviously contributing to the Seasons of Colour exhibition. So we have the piece about cochineal dyes. We've worked with researchers in Work Package 5, so other members at Leeds, basically Peter, Muriel, Debbie, Chris, to think about related educational materials, producing traditional and non-traditional research outputs. So we're going to be looking at audio visuals of the supercarbon critical dyeing, plus the dyeing techniques of the cochineal. We also presented, Bintan presented for us in Biocolours last week at the conference, and we presented the preliminary stages of literature reviews on trend forecasting and natural dyes. So colour has played a significant role in developing the fashion industry, as we're all very aware of that. And trend forecasting is a really significant element of the fashion industry, especially in terms of the strategic elements of decision making. So, sorry, I've lost my space. So the questions that we have really are, what are the implications for the design process in the industry if natural dyes and biocolours become more mainstream, as we've all been discussing all the issues that do crop up, and how do we educate and prepare the next generation of designers, product developers and managers for the industry. So trend forecasting, described as a mechanism for analysing current knowledge, past trends, for anticipating future directions, It has a duality of nature in that it both determines and is determined by society. So the recent increase in sustainability, which has inspired both consumers, manufacturers and designers to re-adopt natural dyes, really has become at the forefront of our thinking in terms of how we actually prepare the next generation. So the literature review that was done was really with that view in mind, to think about how trend forecasting and teaching of colour has actually taken place. So we did two sets of literature review. The first one was looking at trend forecasting and the types of literature that has been written about trends. So we are doing a systematic literature review using the PRISMA guidelines within two databases. So we used Scopus and Web of Science. This approach, the systematic literature review approach, is a very standard approach within the field of management studies, and it's really used as a way of understanding the breadth of issues within your area of interest. So our initial tranche has been through the abstracts to get a better understanding of the abstracts. If you were at the Biocolours conference, you'll have had a much better presentation of the results from Bintan in the conference, but this is just a really quick overview, recap of that. So in this slide, what we see really are the analysis of the abstracts and the issues that are emerging from reading of the abstracts. And as you can see, there are 29 abstracts that were read. What we do is we look for all relevant papers, and then removing all the duplicates and removing things that look like they might be relevant but actually turn out not to be quite so relevant. We remove those and we're left with the 29. Looking through those 29 abstracts, these are the issues that seem to be coming through. So the interest here is on trend forecasting, natural dyes or biocolorants. So those were the keywords that we used. And the questions that were guiding this literature review were: how did trend forecasting practices develop in the fashion and textiles industry, and how did the latest trend on natural dyes develop? So from the original 87 papers, we've reduced it to 29. I won't go through all of the results, but just the top and the things that are not appearing as we might expect. The top interest has really been, as we might expect, in terms of the technical aspects of conducting trend forecasting, the use of machine learning and innovations within that, for instance. But there's been surprisingly little interest in getting to understand about how forecasting might be a powerful sustainability or circular economy tool, or its roles within the supply chain. So these two areas really seem to be a gap in our understanding about trend forecasting with reference to biocolours or natural dyes. In the other area of literature review has been in natural dyes. So here we looked at abstracts from 2001 to 2014. We looked at 31 abstracts from 2001 to 2014, and then there was about 100 abstracts from 2022 to 2024. So in total there's about 131 abstracts that have been reviewed. Interests here are in examining the major challenge that natural dyes currently don't meet for the demands of the fashion industry. So it's a negative here, what they don't meet. So the keywords that we used were natural dyes or biocolorant, and textile fashion, and craft or design. And we limited to journal papers. So both searches took place within February of this year. And from reading those 130 abstracts, not the full papers, so these abstracts are really just simply the key themes that are coming through. Again, we can see that there's a very high interest in wash and light fastness in dyed fabrics, their application of natural fibres, environmental credentials, and new applications such as medicine and healthcare, as well as dyes made out from waste. So these were the top sort of areas of academic interest. And at the other end of the scale, there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest so far in considering education using natural dyed products, use of natural dyes for functional textiles, and bio-design practice using natural resources. So again, we can see that the concerns that we have in this research project and in our group are areas that are yet to really be considered by academics. I think there's a lot of interest in the technical aspects, but actually how it's applied and becomes mainstream and is used by the general public is an area that doesn't seem to be coming through so much yet. So we hope to continue with that to get some answers and to develop some further themes. So really, I just wanted to sort of talk about what we've done as a group so far, and then what we're hoping to do. So far we've developed a range of exhibition projects to present and educate the public and consumers. We've done workshops, we've done conference publication. We're looking to develop that into a paper publication, and then within that we hope to, or we need to, finalise the themes analysis, the content analysis, do some in-depth interviews with fashion designers, textile designers, etc. in both the UK and in Finland. So as a group we'll be dividing those tasks between ourselves and then producing more creative examples. And over the remainder of the two years, we're hoping to characterise the more commercial outputs, develop thinking around and documenting around commercialisation of these biocolorants, engaging with practitioners, doing more exhibitions, and then developing a society of dyers and colourists, design brief, and then finally develop a natural colours garden as a final output. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will continue and then we take the questions at the end. So then the next one is futures, technologies and stretching, and presenters are Chris, Petri and Guillaume. I wonder, did you have any presentation, or Chris, are you there? Have you prepared anything? Or is there anything that you want to say? For example, what would be presented from your work package in the exhibition? Can you see us? We don't hear you. There is maybe, are you muted? Or is this echo? Oh, this
it's plugged
speakers.
It's plugged up to this for this.
Okay.
So we do it through the computer. We have to change it to.
Does it need to be
speakers.
changed? What does it need to be changed? Speakers?
Yeah, speakers.
speakers. No,
He
he
signed off and tried to come
disappeared.
back on. He does have a presentation.
I wonder if he is coming back. Or Petri, do you want to say something?
You're trying to avoid it.
You can comment and say something about what you are doing and what you are presenting in the exhibition. Yes.
Okay, so I don't have any slides because my slides are in my own computer, but maybe I can say some words about these future trends and future aspects in bio-dye business. And according to my knowledge, there is 3 things which are coming up in future. One is supercritical carbon dioxide dyeing, what is done by Leeds Group, and that is trying to solve the base problems, for example, and get a sustainable ways to dye. Then there is these biochemically synthesized dyes, which are really interesting thing, made by microbes and then used as normal dyes in industry. Then what we have done in Helsinki is the modification of natural dyes by chemical modifications. And in that aspect, we have to take into account several things, how they affect on properties of a bio-dye, bio-based dyes, how to improve the qualities, how to improve interactions with different fibers, and solubility. And then one important thing is how they affect biological properties like toxicity and mutagenicity of the compounds. And we know that, for example, not all natural dyes are very nice echo.
Where is it
Where
coming? Should I put this then? Okay, if I push it like this, is it better now?
Maybe.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So the effect to toxicological properties, we know that, for example, emodine is not that safe than other anthraquinone derivatives. It has mutagenic properties, and how to affect those by substituting some of the OH groups which may give safer dyes in future.
Can you hear me, Guillaume?
Yeah. So maybe we'll let Chris to continue.
Way loud and clear. Don't try to surprise.
Okay, hello.
Presentation, and we've got some interesting developments on the indigo. To kind of talk about we've got a fabric modification which ticks up the indigo like glue. Like glue? Yeah. Can you elaborate on that? It's no. But it is to your benefit, so I'm just, as I say, said some protection on life.
Okay, we are fixing the mics because we are not hearing you very well.
Okay, can you?
There we go.
Okay, I take this.
So now we just need to change it.
What is it?
Yeah,
I think it's the echo. Yeah, right.
Or do I need to have this on? Okay.
Okay.
No, can you talk something?
Do you want me to? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, now we see and now we hear you. Very good.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
just let it go.
Yeah, Muriel's just told me this is being streamed online to the wider world and to
Yes.
behave professionally and not say anything untoward. So I will be conservative and very careful. Right, okay, let's rock and roll. What have we been up to? Well, I suppose, please. There we go. The world's changing. There's a need for 21st century textiles and coloration environment, new technologies that address the global needs. And we need to build on the past and embrace the future. There's a place for both. A key resource globally is water. We've all heard the line, water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Clean water is going to be vital going forward, and as the textiles and coloration industries use vast quantities, we need to look at how we can minimize our usage and be good custodians, stewards for the environment, so that people, rather than pointing the finger at the textile and fashion industry and say that they are significant polluters, will say the opposite, is that we are leading the way in environmental protection and ensuring that we're delivering a high quality product, but without any detrimental effect. The coloration of textiles is a creative process. That is one of the joys of textile coloration, is that when you see that really well-made fabric and garment, and it's eye-catching, it's startling, it actually works creatively. You know that it's a combination of aesthetics and technology working well together. Where we're looking to go is that combination of supercritical carbon dioxide, which is a water-free technology or waterless technology. There are a number of supercritical liquids that can be used, but the most popular is carbon dioxide, which can be recycled. Again, in looking at minimizing water usage, we're using digital printing, where you're applying very low volumes of a dye solution to achieve a distinct pattern effect rather than a uniform coloration. And superimposed within that framework is what dyes are we using, what innovation are we bringing, and the bio-based colorants that Pili are bringing to the party are hugely significant and provide a fabulous opportunity for the industry to reposition and take advantage of these new manufacturing methodologies, which are specific in what is being produced with no side products. So what we're looking at is that development of the waterless supercritical carbon dioxide. No water, no effluent, and as the fabric goes in dry, it comes out dry. So energy saving as well as lowering environmental impact. We're looking at the digital printing, and again, developing new color palettes and novel inks with associated low water usage, and unleashing the creativity of the eco designers, because if you can couple that technology with a fabulous creative aesthetic, then it's far easier to sell. We're also looking at alternative colorant extraction, and when I passed the comment earlier that analysis of the dye stuffs is vitally important, it was with that view that traditionally the natural dyes have been extracted in water. What we're looking for in terms of supercritical carbon dioxide is the other end of the spectrum, is the more solvent-soluble colorants. And there's relatively little information there. So coupling up the colorant extraction with a chromophore analysis is going to be important. I've already bigged up Pili with the microbial colorants. I'll do it an extra time. They're a world-leading company, and we're looking to play handmaiden to them and make sure that we do exciting things initially with the indigo. You never stop learning, and that's one of the joys of being in academia, is that there's an opportunity to discover fresh fields and fresh understanding. And I've been looking recently at the use of natural dyes in solar cells and how they are attractive in this high-tech end use that, again, will have a huge significant effect on energy collecting into the 21st century. At this stage, it's in its infancy, but all the attractive features that we've talked about for dyeing of textiles they're not similar, because in this particular case, the natural dyes are seen as cheap in comparison to the synthetic solar cell absorbers. So there's a dislocation in the conversation, and I think it's certainly something that we'll look into in a bit more detail. As I said, we'll look at the indigo biocolorant, try and link it into an end-use application with a jeans manufacturer, and produce product for the public and the consumer, and also for industry to see and how it can be used in a commercial environment. Some of the challenges for supercritical carbon dioxide, which I won't go into too much detail, is obviously it works for polyester. Nike and Adidas have already got their own dye houses in the Far East processing polyester with solvent-soluble dyes. It works very efficiently. Supercritical carbon dioxide is a super leveling solution, and the dyes exhaust very easily. Oh, yeah, what's going on there? There we go. Sorry about that. We've also looked at cellulose diacetate, and this was the Naya fibre from Eastman Fibres, which is a cellulose-based man-made fibre. The attraction being is that the cellulose is modified with an acetate group, and that makes it disperse dyeable, but also very efficient in terms of supercritical carbon dioxide dyeability. That is one of our primary targets, and being able to modify cotton and make it supercritical carbon dioxide dyeable and disperse dyeable is a key goal. Eastman provided this fibre. Has it taken off? Not at the moment, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that the fashion world and the brands begin to realise there's an opportunity there. For cotton and wool, they're polar materials, whereas polyester is non-polar. So we have this incompatibility between the dyeing technology and the fibres. And one of the key things we've done at the front end is build knowledge and try and understand the potential of supercritical carbon dioxide and address the mismatch between the colorant and the fibre. To that end, we've completed work on looking at polyester and cellulose acetate and the nature of dye accelerants on the dyeing process, whether we can lower the temperature and also increase the swelling of the fibre. So we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in the work packages tomorrow, but it's certainly out there under review. When I mentioned the supercritical carbon dioxide dyeing of cellulose diacetate, the Naya fibre, one designer who's leading the way is Stella McCartney, and she produced a Naya dress for the Met Gala, and it was certainly well received. So it's hopefully getting a little more publicity. With the paper, we looked at identifying bio-based accelerants and mainstream chemical accelerants. They lower the glass transition, they increase fibre swelling, and they increase dye solubility. That's the traditional theory behind how accelerants work, and it's that latter increase the solubility that is interesting us in terms of some of the natural dyes. The commercial advantage is that we can dye polyester at 100 degrees C rather than 120, so there's a big energy saving there. And for cellulose acetate, Peter's been getting great coloration at 60 rather than 85 degrees C, so getting some good progress. For the natural dyes, there are supercritical carbon dioxide soluble dyes. We've got imodin, which Rika has looked at, and alizarin, which we've looked at, and they both give solid colours on polyester and cellulose acetate. What we'd like to do, and what we are doing, is to identify and expand that dye range and make it more applicable certainly to polyester, and hopefully develop a range of colours that could be promoted as suitable for polyester. we need to optimize the fiber properties, match the fiber with the dye, or the dye with the fiber. As I was listening to the previous presentation and the importance of mushrooms, I been watching a program, Clarkson's Farm, which probably doesn't travel particularly well, but it was a moment of revelation for him and a revelation for me when he actually set up a mushroom farm or planted on his farm, and the mushrooms just grew and grew and grew, and he was hugely profitable, hugely successful. There was a massive range of different mushrooms he was growing, and as the Telegraph echoed, the unstoppable march of mushrooms will remake our world. I am a believer. Mushrooms are the way. Apart from for pili and bio-indigo, that's a different kettle of fish. So we've been looking at modifying cotton and wool to increase the non-polarity. On one of the slides earlier, it was talking about customizing the printing process. Well, if you can increase the more hydrophobic nature of cotton and wool, you will also make them sublimation printable, and of course that has the advantage there's no prepare for print, and there's also no wash off, and you get very high color yields on photographic quality. So that's one of the associated benefits in what we're trying to do on the supercritical. I've also made the point there that we're looking at blends. Two of the biggest blend fabrics on the market is polyester cotton and polyester wool. The polyester is there to improve the quality of the natural fibers. For wool, you get machine washability, you get better appearance, you get better abrasion. For cotton, you get better dimensional stability, you get improved crease shedding, and you get better abrasion. For us, is that if we've only got a 50-50 blend, we've got half as much poly of cotton and wool, and the color contrast, if we are successful or even partially successful in modifying the cotton and the wool, then the difference in the coloration between the polyester and the natural fibers will be significantly reduced. And that is a significant advantage to what we're trying to do. So in studies going forward, we're not just looking at the pure natural fiber, we're going to be looking at those blends, and again, aiming towards a commercial output. Stretching the craft, we're taking a little steps and big steps approach. One of the little steps is looking at the catenization of cotton, and then looking at the dyeing with the natural dye cochineal. It's always, and again I stop myself, technical merits of the craft dyeing. It works, it's predictable, which is always good, but in going forward it needs that re-evaluation, and can it be improved, can it be streamlined? And where we've looked at is in comparison to the tannic acid alum mordanting, which is an accepted approach, but it's laborious, time-consuming, and not all the aluminium is absorbed into the fibre, and you're going to get an effluent emission of the aluminium. So what we've done is looked at catenizing the cotton. The difference we're looking to make is, rather than using with the industry standard, which is Glytac A, which has a rather fishy smell, is using a new kid on the block, which is from Dow Corning and Cotton Incorporated, called EcoFast Pure. It is non-smelly, and we were one of the few centres to be given access to it, and this is what Debbie has been doing. The attractions that have been reported on synthetic dyes is high exhaustion, high colour yield. You can do it at low dyeing temperatures, and for reactive dyes, you get higher fixation. So the key question for us was, were we going to get it actually working nicely with natural dyes? And in showing the attraction of the catanisation is that in making the fibre positively charged, it eliminates the need for any salt to encourage the dye to go onto the fibre, and that's it. And as I say, the potential is there for doing low temperature as well. Yeah, I've said that already. So where are we at? Well, we've done the study now with the cochineal. Paper's written up. We're just waiting for Dow Chemicals to give it the thumbs up. Cotton Incorporated have already given the thumbs up and said it's very good. We will then look to extend the work on other natural dyes. We will also look to improve the fastness. It's an Achilles heel. It's not insurmountable, but it's something that is an easy target for anybody out there. Part of the process of looking at fixing agents and tannic acid and catanising the cotton is, can we add multifunctionality to the cotton? And by that I mean, can we make it flame retardant, which is a key research target for the industry in looking to come up with zero formaldehyde flame retardant finishes, and it would be beneficial if we could do it using natural colorants incorporated into the product development. Progress has been made. I think we're quite pleased. We've got 2 papers out and we're looking to do more. For the digital printing, the natural ink solution, the work there has looked at developing the colour palette. One of the challenges for natural dyes is that they're relatively weak tinctorially, and also there's variable water solubility, and what we need to have with the digital print is highly concentrated solutions, and but still maintaining that water solubility, so there's no clogging up of the heads. Also having a small range of natural dyes, different natural dyes, so we can produce a broad colour palette. And this is what Muriel and Peter have been up to on the catanised cotton, and producing a recognisable colour wheel using the natural dyes so far. So it's encouraging. In fact, I underplayed that. I should have said, this looks great. Further work is ongoing. The wash fastness looks good. Once the dye has gone on to the catanised cotton, it sticks very tightly, and as we're using relatively little water, it's certainly an eco-friendly way to go forward. So as I said, it's looking good. Potential commercial process via alternative, simpler technology. Produce stuff for the exhibition, which you'll be able to see. lastly, one of our key goals is to focus in on the biggest fashion colour out there, which is indigo, and maximise the impact of Pilley's bio-based indigo. We've already got a sample of it. We've done some interesting, I was going to say work, but clearly I can't spell. And we will have at the next exhibition a film short video of a comparison of the untreated cotton, catanized cotton, and a Leeds finished cotton, which appears to be superior to both of them in aiding dye exhaustion and delivering the expected denim colour performance and fastness. We're looking to extend that work into the sulphur dyes. This is one for Paul at Bulmer and Lung in developing a sulphur dyes that are useful for or are recognised for their sustainability on wool and cotton. And lastly, explore solar cells. I have talked for far too much and are keenly aware that you are in the land of the midnight sun and Santa Claus is close by. Hopefully I've delivered a reasonable present with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay, I see that Guillaume is also there from Pili. Would you like to say something from your side? Or comment on Chris?
Yes, I can give a few words. Actually, I might have just 3 slides to try to be quick, because I think we've got little time to explain you what we've been doing. If you're all right, it'll take me some minutes.
Yes, please. Would be interesting.
Is that good for you? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So I will go on full screen. Just focusing on our indigo story. So basically, Chris has talked a lot already about indigo, but you know how where this molecule comes from, and especially indigo used to be extracted from indigofera. It is a very ancient dye, and I love to quote the Count of Monte Cristo when Dantes was actually, before he became the Count of Monte Cristo and pursued his vengeance, he was driving boats that brought indigo and cochineal from the Indias. So this was something of very high wealth, because only one boat charged with that type of matter was sufficient to make somebody rich again and save him from bankruptcy. But then came the organic chemistry, and people started with what they had as organic matter, and the distillation of indigo particularly, and its degradation using potash and oxidation gave rise to certain intermediates that were identified in the mid-19th century, such as aniline, antranilic acid, and then izatin. And this was really the birth of modern synthetic chemistry. Very quickly then, many people tried to remake this iconic dye, which is indigo, and the synthetic pathway that I will present to you here is today used industrially without noticeable modification since the 19th century. So it starts with aniline, the molecule on the left, which is a carcinogenic molecule. It is mixed with formaldehyde and cyanide, which are 2 well-known products with the health benefit that you probably know, which gives a first intermediate, which is then N-phenyl glycinonitrile, Then you mix it with potash and soda ash to get another intermediate, and then you use sodamite, so a mixture of solid sodium and ammonia, and you heat it at very high temperature to be sure that there is no more water, and to provide a lot of energy to make this particularly this indoxyl ring, which is very difficult to make. And then you have the classical oxidation and dimerization, and you end up with indigo. So today, indigo is a very big commodity, and its current industrial synthesis is very problematic because you have carcinogenic raw material, which is petrol-based. You introduce the additional carbons using formaldehyde and cyanide, which are two of very high concern chemicals, and then you need lots of energy to make the ring. So what PD has focused its energy on are basically these. How can we look differently at indigo and see another carbon source at the beginning, which is not aniline, which is not petrol-based, and actually we found antranilic acid, which is an intermediate of the tryptophan pathway. And so we thought that if we have that antranilic acid with the carboxylic acid there and the amino group, it is actually very close to half an indigo. And so what we've done after that was developing an industrial production way to have antranilic acid, ton scale, produced by fermentation, so with a very low environmental footprint. And this is actually what we succeeded to do. And then we extracted some old German chemistry, as very often the chemists like to do. So Heumann's paper from the very end of the 19th century, who was actually capable of making indigo starting from antranilic acid. So I let those of you who like Goethe language read the piece of the paper that I've shown here. But we've, of course, transformed this chemistry, made it more environmentally friendly, use mostly water-based chemistry, and this allowed us to produce loads of industrial production of those materials. And afterwards, we were able to produce indigo and to send this very beautiful powder to Chris. So that was, in a nutshell, what we've been working on. So trying to find another source of raw material to produce aniline, and trying to develop a more sustainable way to add those carbons and make this high energy chemistry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go forward then. We have one more work package from the Colour4CRAFTS project, so Futures Gone for Knowledge Building. Laura, the floor is yours.
Hello everybody, my name is Laura Seppälä and I'm postdoc student here in University of Lapland and obviously part of this Colour4CRAFTS project. And I'm here to present to you the Futures Gone, that is a tool that we have used in this project and will continue using all the way to the end. And we have written an aim to the project proposal about future, and I thought that I will read this for you, that it will go correctly. The aim is to look at the color spaces of time, visual appearance, doing and meaning. In this task, we combine the work carried out the other VPs. The future's research methods will be used to the picture futures of coloration, subject that does not yet exist, but signs that past and present through the research carried out in the work packages can give out clues of the futures. And these Call and others have said that to prepare for, plan and alter the future, one must understand it first. And I understand this personally in a way that you need to see the future in order to create it. And that's what we are doing here with the natural dyes. Then there are these 3 laws of futures by Amela from 1981, which happens to be my birth year, so quite old already, but the future is not predetermined, and that means that in this like a moment we don't know what will happen, and it's not like decided in beforehand. And also it's not predictable, which means that there can be surprise factors or happen something that cannot be predicted. And the future outcomes can be influenced by our choices in the present. So what we are doing here as researchers will actually influence the future. And my background is in co-design. And co-design means to design something together with one or more people, so it's a group action. And this idea of co-design process is to engage all the stakeholders, including the professionals and sometimes lay people, into the process. And the idea is to innovate ideas that couldn't come by the one person, but the multiple persons when they ideate together. And when we collaborate between designers, research and developers, we can actually probably come up something completely new and innovative. And some of the forerunners, if you want to look up, are these Elizabeth Sanders and Peter Stappers, and they have written several papers about co-design. So if you get interested in the co-design process, this is something that you should look for. Then the futures cone is the tool that we can use to visualize the alternative futures. And it's shaped like a cone, and the idea is that the other end is like a present moment, and when it widens out, the possible futures opens up. And in this project we are using a futures cone that is designed by Boros. And here you can see the co-design process, and it always starts from the need over here. So basically there is a need for, people have a need for some new innovation, and that creates the purpose of the co-design. And the co-design activity starts, and there is obviously definition phase, that what we are needing, planning phase, execution, and the closing phase, which leads to the impact and again to the people. And in this work we have combined it with the futures cone, and here you can see that we are gradually increasing the futures cone through these 3 years of the project. So here is actually how the cone works. And the first cone was actually created by Taylor, and it was called Cone of the Plausibility. And it was actually like a vertical one, so it was opening upwards. And then the Hancock and Betzold created the horizontal futures cone in 1994. And then came Carrett and had a different type of idea of the cone. And then actually the Boros is the guy who created cone in this form. And I have these cones in my work office, and they are several different alternatives of the cone, but this makes the most sense. And here you can see the actual cone, and all these futures that you can see are the potential futures. So from now on, all of these can happen, but there is a different likelihood how they can happen. So basically the center of the cone means the business as usual future, that means that that is what is likely to happen, and wider you go to the edges, that will be the most unlikely one. And now we go to the exact futures, and basically here you can see the green area, and that's the preferred future, and one of the Riikka slides you also saw this red one, which can be unpreferred future. And when we are doing this future cone work, we are also looking at the possibilities, but also that the fact that if we see that if it's a preferred or unpreferred one. So then the projected future is the business as usual, and this is what is likely to happen if everything goes like things are happening at the moment. So this will be the most likely future if something or nothing changes. And then we have the probable future. You can see it's the next layer there, and it's likely to happen. And I had a really good discussion with Pami in a last consortium meeting that actually these words make lots of sense in English, because there are like slight differences. In Finnish we don't have the same type of words. And then we have a plausible future, and this was the new word that Pami taught me, that it could be something that could happen based on our knowledge at the moment. So this is something still like in a range of like could happen, and this word could here is the important one. And then we have a possible future, an English word might happen. So this could be that it's still possible in a reach of possibility, but not so likely. So this is the like a fourth future. And the fifth one is the preposterous future, that is impossible or ridiculous or something that would never happen, or like it's very unlikely to happen. And these layers characterize the potential futures that we have, and you can think about this also in terms of your own life, that what is like a business as usual, what you would probably like to happen, and what is the potentiality of it, and that's how we are using it in our research. And this futures cone can be used for explaining the ideas behind the different futures, and it can conceptualize different components and characteristics and events, and it can be a roadmap and also like give advice for strategic decision making. And we had now this workshop last September, and this morning we were going through the results of the workshop, and we were working on each of these 5 futures, and we founded some themes, and we found it that there is definitely a color palette. It's a very important theme in relation to the natural dyes, because natural dyes give a specific color palette and what that means for our research. Then there is the big theme, sustainability. All the sustainability issues that natural dyes can solve, but there is also this idea of toxicity, that all the natural dyes are not safe automatically. So there's lots of like a toxicity and sustainability aspects. Then we have challenges, that what are the like challenges of the natural dyes, and we are looking those like wider. Technology, we have heard today a lot about the supercritical carbon dioxide process. There is plasma process and different type of processes to create a natural dyeing. So what are the possibilities of the technology? And this is what we are looking at as well. And then we have attitude and awareness, and it's something that should change in a consumer's mind, that if garments can fade, and if it's acceptable that color changes, and if the color palette is acceptable, and that all goes to the theme of awareness and attitudes. And then we have the innovations theme that we are looking at from the point of view of really out of the box thinking, that how we can see different futures that are not probably not invented yet. And here are some of the references, and here you can find the Sanders and Stappers for co-creation, and also these references for the future cone. And I'm happy to answer all the questions if you want to research this further. And on Wednesday, we will actually continue the co-designing workshop Manner the Futures Cone work, and we will look at all these 6 themes, and we will go forward. So this was the short presentation how the Futures Cone is used in this project and how we are looking at these 5 different futures. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I think we have time for a few questions now, if you have anything to ask about these presentations and related to the exhibition. And I can say that we will have a wonderful futures cone also in the exhibition, so be ready to visit and see that also. But any questions? Well, okay. There are not any.
No question,
okay.
No question, come in.
Okay, well then if there are not any questions, I would say that thank you very much for participating in this seminar, and you are very welcome to the opening of this exhibition, and after that visiting the exhibition till the end, till the 18th of August. Have a lovely day and a lovely summer.
Liika, 28 people joined.